Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to work on the Beta again. Be a nice change from working on Teslas and modern electrical vehicles. Get back to something that messes up the environment with a two-stroke 300cc dirt bike. Much more manly stuff. But before I get into that, I want to do a little review on a new beer I got yesterday by Brewdog. It's called Elvis juice. Now, this kind of reminds me of a joke that I used to tell. I won't tell the whole thing, but it was about someone coming to America who didn't speak the language, and another person was trying to introduce them to American food, and they tell them about hot dogs, try to get them to eat a hot dog. And the kind of the punchline of the joke was the foreigner said, well, where I come from, we don't eat that part of the dog. Anyway, that's the joke. And for some reason that kind of came to mind when I saw the name of this beer, Elvis juice. Or I don't know. But anyway, it's a grapefruit infused IPA, and I like anything grapefruit. It says live fast and drink slow. Now, that old man Flynn, she doesn't like any IPAs. I actually do. I think they're pretty good. But I do kind of get tired of the over-hopped, kind of acidic IPAs. And this one isn't like that at all. The grapefruit really mellows it out. And honestly, you get more grapefruit than hop, which makes this really kind of a refreshing summer brew. So anyway, I think it's pretty good. These are made up in Ohio. I know not much comes good out of Ohio, but this Brewdog comes from Ohio, and I like them. I like some of their non-alcoholic beers as well. So anyway, check them out. I recommend the Elvis juice. Anyway, let's get back into the bikes. Hey, how you guys doing? Welcome back to the channel. Nosy Joe here. Hey, we're going to be back working on motorcycles. Tired of those electric Teslas and that fancy modern stuff. So anyway, it's been a while since I talked about my Beta. I have been single tracking it. It's been fun. I've been finding out how out of shape I am. And also I found I needed to make a couple modifications, I think, to do a little bit better on this slow technical terrain I've been riding on. So today we're going to do that. The Beta, at least the 2021 model Xtrainer, comes with a 14 tooth front sprocket here, and I've purchased a 13 tooth sprocket. Just kind of do a little gear reduction, make me able to operate in second and third more instead of first and second. And then the other thing I found in these harsh conditions, I really don't like this chain guard here, because honestly, instead of protecting the chain in the environment that I've been riding in, mud and twigs and everything just kind of get packed up in there and hold that up against the chain on the factory Beta chain guard. So I got this piece that I found guys using online from Enduro Engineering. That you'll see it after we get it in, but that more leaves the sprocket exposed on the front here and kind of protects the outer perimeter of it, which makes it, well, A, easier to clean out, and B, just not as prone to getting stuff in there in the first place. So that's the plan for today. I'm going to break the rear axle loose here and loosen up the adjusters and start getting this thing ready to get that sprocket off. All right, update here. I got that guard off. It was just a 8mm wrench here, and then there was another connection back here. That's where the other bolt went, also 8mm. So that's what it takes to get that off of there. The Beta factory chain guard around the front sprocket. I've also taken the axle nut loose. The axle nut's on the other side. It's a 27 millimeter. And then you need a 13 millimeter for your adjustment locking nut and a 10 millimeter here. So those are the wrenches you need to get the axle loose and forward, to get the chain loose, so that we're ready to take that front sprocket off. All right, so I went ahead and took the master link out of the chain. It's right here, it's an O-ring chain. And then you can see that retainer there, that was here, and I definitely recommend having the right tool for that. I didn't. I was able to get it out without damaging it. And then from there, the front sprocket just slides right out. So if you notice, there's a side that is flat and flush, and then there's one that has more of a spacer and embossment built into it. So looking at that and looking at what we got here, it looks like that just goes in the same way. Now they've given me a shim and I guess a couple shims here, figure out if I need those. So we'll check that out. I suppose the best way to tell is whether or not you know, how much slop we got once we reinstall the retainer there. And we don't want to have any movement, so that'll determine whether we need those shims or not. Alrighty. All right, quick update here. I got the retaining clip back in place. I ended up not using either of these shims. They were bigger diameter than the shaft, so I know this gear here works for KTMs and other bikes, so I'm just going to go ahead and say these aren't needed on a Beta. They just would have been loose on the shaft. They wouldn't be shimming this out in any way. See here? So I'm not sure what those are for. I didn't take off anything that looks like that, so I'm not putting anything back on that looks like that. Alrighty. So now we'll put the chain back on. All right, now we got the new sprocket back on, the retainer on, the chain back set, the axle adjusted for the chain slack that we need. Everything's tightened down, and we're gonna look now at this. Now they call this a slave cylinder guard, but it really has two functions. So, because here's your slave cylinder for your clutch. So we already removed one bolt when we removed the guard here, the Beta guard. We're going to remove the other two. That's going to line up with these two holes. And then we got a shim that's involved with this part of the mount and the kind of the chain cover. And then this is going to go out here on the end as so. That's kind of how the orientation of this new guard is. And I'll give you an update here as we get a little bit closer. All right, don't forget to use a little bit of blue Loctite on your bolts. The final kind of orientation of this, I'll leave that loose for now, is you got that little spacer in there that you want to have between clutch slave guard and the chain guard. You want the little shim there. Tighten that down, and then that kind of chain guide portion goes on the end of the chain guard and gets bolted back in with that 8 millimeter bolt back into the frame. So that's how everything goes. I think I'm going to like that. Get that tightened up. Hard to do this with the camera. Okay. By the way, that's a 5 millimeter Allen wrench for those bolts that come with the Enduro engineering guard. So that's how she looks, all buttoned up. Again, I think that's going to be a lot better. Not going to get mud and everything in here, and if I do, I can blast it out real easily. All right, so that about wraps it up. The other thing I did do is I put this Seat Concepts tall comfort seat on. I really like this, and I really like the seat cover. It's kind of got this rubber grippy sides to it. I'm about 6'3", so on the Beta Cross Trainer, it's about an inch higher, and I really actually like that better. It's still not quite as tall, even with that seat, as a full-size motocross bike, but definitely made it more comfortable as I did that transition between standing and sitting. So I can still flat foot the bike, no problem. So with that, hopefully next time you'll see the Beta. I'll be out at the track practicing or maybe racing. I'm really happy with the bike so far. Again, these are modifications I've done to it just to make it better performing, I guess you could say, on the single track. It's not hard enduro, but it's very challenging enduro that I'm doing. So with that, hope that helps you guys with tips on things to do to your Beta. And you guys have a good one. Stay safe out there. Later.